shackles, and fire. The sky over Earth burned with unfamiliar colors the night the TZ Cory arrived. Vast ships blotted out the stars, their hulls shimmering with a cruel, cold light. Humanity's defenses, fleets stationed in orbit, railguns on the moon, even the newly built Martian colonies, were crushed within weeks. The Dominion didn't negotiate. It didn't warn. It simply took. Cities fell silent under occupation. The aliens herded men, women, and children alike into massive transports, shackling them with energy bands that punished even the thought of resistance. To the TZ Cory, Earth was nothing more than a new resource deposit, and humanity was just another labor force to be bent, broken, and consumed. Elias Ward remembered the day his unit was disarmed. He had been a captain in Earth's Joint Defense Forces, fighting skirmishes in orbit until his ship was disabled. Now, like millions of others, he labored in the Dominion's mines. The air was thick with dust, and the overseers, tall reptilian forms draped in obsidian armor, watched from platforms above, their plasma rifles always pointed downward. But what the TZ Cory didn't understand was simple. Humanity had been through worse. Ward had seen it in the eyes of the miners around him. Even after 12 hours of hauling stone under scorching lamps, they still cracked jokes. They still helped each other to their feet when someone stumbled. And when the overseers barked orders in that guttural, hissing tongue, the humans didn't bow their heads in submission. They looked up, measuring, remembering. The Dominion punished any spark of defiance. A man once refused to carry a load too heavy for his back, and the overseer lashed him with an energy whip until he collapsed. He died with a grin on his face, whispering, "Better this than kneel." That night, the camp hummed with quiet pride. Ward understood then, these weren't slaves. Not really. They were soldiers waiting to be forged. He began to whisper during rest periods. Not commands, just reminders. "Remember the wars we fought at home," he'd murmur. "We've resisted empires before. Rome, Britain, tyrants, dictators. Every whip they lay across our backs is sharpening us. Every chain they fasten is teaching us how to break it." The aliens thought they had crushed humanity by scattering them across mining colonies, but they had unknowingly created breeding grounds for resistance. Spread across dozens of worlds, humans learned to adapt to alien environments, alien tools, and alien oversight. Where other races bent, humans watched. Where others obeyed, humans planned. One night, Ward stared at the stars through the barred skylight of the barracks. The overseers believed they had stripped humanity of its spirit. But all Ward saw was fire, fire hidden in every man and woman around him. The TZ Cory had come seeking slaves. What they had found, though they didn't yet realize it, were recruits. Ward clenched his fists, dust grinding against his palms. He whispered into the dark, a vow only the stars could hear. They wanted slaves. Instead, they're making soldiers. The spark of defiance. The mines had become a school of war. Elias Ward didn't need chalkboards or parade grounds. He had hunger, pain, and rage to train his people. Every night after the overseers dimmed the lamps, the barracks would come alive with whispers. Men and women sat in circles, passing down lessons from Earth's bloody past. A boxer showed others how to tighten fists and strike at vulnerable joints. A former mechanic demonstrated how to turn mining tools into makeshift blades. Ward spoke of guerrilla tactics, of how weaker forces could cripple stronger ones with speed, surprise, and precision. At first, it was survival, a trick to disable the shock bands without alerting the guards, a way to hide food rations so the weak wouldn't starve. But soon, survival gave way to planning. Ward's eyes burned with a memory of Earth's history. "We've never been conquerors," he told them one night, "but we've never stopped fighting. Our ancestors bled on every continent, in every age. We know war better than the stars themselves." The first test came sooner than expected. A Dominion supply hub, barely guarded, its security grown lax from years of unquestioned authority, sat less than 5 kilometers from a mine. It held food, fuel cells, and weapons. To the overseers, it was routine infrastructure. To Ward, it was opportunity. The plan was simple. Too simple, the way all dangerous plans are. At shift change, 3 humans would sabotage the hub's power regulators, plunging it into darkness. While the guards scrambled, others would strike, overwhelming them with stolen tools. No rallying cries, no wild rushes. Every move calculated, every strike aimed to kill. The night arrived. The barracks throbbed with quiet terror, but Ward's voice steadied them. "This is not rebellion," he said. "This is the first step of a war." When the lights of the hub flickered and died, silence fell across the compound. Then came chaos, alien alarms, flashing red beacons, and the hiss of rifles charging. The humans moved like shadows. Picks struck into armor joints. Chains became garrotes. A stolen welding torch seared through the neck of a TZ Corrie guard. By dawn, the hub was ash. Explosives taken from the mines had reduced it to rubble. The humans melted back into the barracks, but not empty-handed. They carried rifles, rations, and most importantly, hope. The overseers were livid. Dozens of humans were dragged into the yards and executed as examples. Yet the executions had the opposite effect. Every death was a drumbeat. Every fallen man or woman became a banner. Across the mining worlds, whispers spread. The humans have struck the Dominion. The humans have killed their masters. The TZ Corrie commanders dismissed the incident as a fluke. But one officer, scales pale with unease, reported differently. They didn't fight like slaves. They fought like soldiers. In the darkness of the barracks, Ward looked at the rifles stacked in the corner. They had tasted blood, and he knew one truth now, undeniable and irreversible. The war had begun. The making of soldiers. The Dominion thought the first uprising would burn itself out. They had seen rebellions before, brief flashes of defiance from broken species that ended in slaughter. But humanity did not burn out. Humanity spread. On one mining world after another, whispers became sparks, and sparks became fire. Wherever humans toiled, overseers began to vanish. Supply convoys disappeared into the wilderness. Guard posts went silent. The TZ Corrie called them slave riots. Ward knew better. They were training exercises. In the hidden corners of the camps, drills became routine. Rows of gaunt men and women practiced strikes, grapples, and takedowns in silence. Others dismantled stolen rifles, reassembling them until the motions were second nature. There were no uniforms, no ranks, only trust and discipline. What had begun as survival now had a name: the United Resistance. Ward walked among them, his voice low but steady. "We are not soldiers because we wear armor or carry rifles. We are soldiers because we fight for each other." That is what they will never understand. Improvisation became their greatest weapon. A cracked ore hauler became an armored ram. Mining explosives, once used to carve tunnels, became grenades hurled from rooftops. Even music carried coded instructions. Old Earth songs hummed in the barracks to mark meeting times or signal attacks. Every victory was small, but each one bled the Dominion. A convoy ambushed here. A depot burned there. To the humans, they were battles. To the aliens, they were embarrassments. And other species noticed. In one shattered camp, a frail insectoid worker named Yervin approached Ward after a raid. His species had been enslaved for centuries. They were long since broken. Yet his mandibles clicked with something unfamiliar. Hope. "You fight," Yervin whispered. "You win." "How?" Ward simply handed him a blade. "By refusing to be what they want us to be." The insectoid joined them. Others followed. What had begun as a human rebellion was becoming something larger. The first cracks in the Dominion's chains. The aliens responded with terror. Entire camps were purged, thousands executed to instill fear. But the Dominion misunderstood. Humanity had endured purges before, pogroms, genocides, bombings, and still endured. The massacres only carved the names of the dead into the hearts of the living. One Dominion general finally voiced what others feared. "This species, they do not break. Pressure only forges them harder. Every lash creates not obedience but defiance. We have not captured Laboris. We have armed our enemy." The general was ignored. On a ruined world of ash and smoke, Ward stood before his growing fighters. He held a captured Dominion banner, its black sigil of dominance scorched and torn. He raised it high, then ripped it in half with his bare hands. The humans roared, not as slaves, but as an army. The TZ had sought to chain humanity. Instead, they had given it purpose. And purpose, Ward knew, was more dangerous than any weapon in the galaxy. Soldiers of Earth. The Dominion struck back with fire. Entire colonies were scoured clean, orbital bombardments reducing camps to glass. They expected humanity to scatter, to beg for mercy. Instead, every atrocity became a rallying cry. Where 1 million died, 10 million vowed revenge. The united resistance was no longer whispers in the dark. It was fleets of stolen transports, ground squads armed with scavenged rifles, and allied slaves who had shed their fear. For the first time in centuries, the Dominion faced an enemy that could not be broken. Captain Elias Ward stood before a holomap deep inside a captured bunker. Stars glittered across its surface, each one marking a Dominion world. His finger tapped a single crimson point, their central command hub, Arcanis Prime. "They think us scattered," Ward said, his voice ragged but unyielding. "They think we are ants under their boots. Tomorrow, we show them the boot can bleed." The plan was madness. Arcanis Prime was the Dominion's heart, a fortress world bristling with fleets and armies. But Ward knew the truth. Soldiers thrive where slaves perish. Humanity's strength was not numbers or technology. It was audacity. The assault began with fire. Human-piloted transports, painted black against the stars, crashed into orbit, disgorging fighters cobbled together from mining haulers. They dove straight into enemy guns, weaving and striking with reckless precision. On the ground, resistance cells detonated explosives inside the very factories that built Dominion weapons. Streets became battlefields. Every alien ambush. Ward's strike team carved its way into the command citadel itself. Plasma bolts scorched the walls, the air thick with the stench of burning metal. Beside him fought Yerven, mandibles snapping as he drove a spear into an overseer's chest. Humans and aliens, side by side, no longer slaves, soldiers. The final chamber loomed ahead, guarded by towering Dominion elites. Ward raised his stolen rifle, heart hammering. "For Earth," he whispered, and charged. The fight was brutal. Blades clashed, rifles thundered, men and women fell. But when the smoke cleared, Ward stood at the shattered console, blood streaking his face. With a final strike, he plunged a plasma blade into the Dominion's central relay. Sparks erupted, and across the galaxy, the Dominion's command net went dark. For the first time in millennia, the Empire trembled. Worlds rose in rebellion. Fleets deserted. The chains of domination shattered link by link, system by system. In the aftermath, Ward broadcast a message across captured channels. His voice was hoarse, but it carried the weight of a new age. "We are not your slaves. We never were. You tried to break us, and you forged us instead. We are soldiers of Earth, and we do not kneel." The words rippled across the stars, igniting fires that could never be quenched. The TZ Dominion had come seeking obedience. What they had created instead was their executioner. Humanity had risen, not as victims, but as warriors destined to lead others to freedom.